एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल केटी ब्यूटी। और आज आई हूँ मैं यहाँ पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हिल, जो जोहान्सबर्ग का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हिल है, वहाँ पे आई हूँ। सो मैं पहुँच गई हूँ। आप देख सकते हो मेरे पीछे ये पूरा पार्किंग है, तो मैं अच्छे से दिखाती हूँ। एकदम अभी मॉर्निंग आ गई हूँ, तो उतना भी कुछ दिख नहीं रहा ज़्यादा आपको, गाड़ियों का मतलब गाड़ी वगैरह दिख नहीं रहा पार्किंग में, देख सकते हो पूरा। सो यहाँ से मैं जा रही हूँ, ये देखो पूरा, जैसे ही आप इंटर करोगे पार्किंग के बाद आपको ये पूरा दिखेगा। नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू बाय द टिकट्स, और यहाँ पे कुछ कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शंस और कुछ कुछ गाइडलाइंस यहाँ पे दिया हुआ, और बाकी चीजें आई मीन कुछ मैप भी है यहाँ पे कि क्या क्या चीजें यहाँ पे है। स्टार्ट।
Check. Still in my voice. Check.
अभी मैं यहाँ पे हूँ, ये विजिटर सेंटर है। सो यहाँ पे उसके बाद ये वुमेन्स जेल है, और ये है रैम्पॉर्ट पार्क वॉक है, यहाँ पे रैम्पॉर्ट वॉक समथिंग कुछ तो है यहाँ पे। और ये रहा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन स्क्वायर, और ये है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कोर्ट। सो ये चारों है यहाँ पे कवर करने के लिए। सो मैं अभी यहाँ से आए वुमेन्स जेल के पास जाऊंगी और आपको वहां का दिखाती हूँ कि कैसा है वुमेन्स जेल। ये पहले किला था, फोर्ट आई मीन, और उसके बाद लोगों ने उसको जेल में कन्वर्ट कर दिया, और इसको म्यूजियम में मतलब जो म्यूजियम लोगों को लिए, पब्लिक को दिखाने के लिए लोगों ने म्यूजियम को ओपन किया 2004 में। सो यहाँ पे है, और इस जेल में कुछ वायलेशन हुआ था, कुछ लॉ वगैरह वायलेशन किए थे महात्मा गांधी जी, उनको भी लाकर यहाँ पे रखा गया था। यहाँ पे स्टैचू है महात्मा गांधी जी का, बापू जी का। ये महात्मा गांधी जी का एग्जीबिशन यहाँ पे है, जिसको इनॉग्रेशन नरेंद्र मोदी जी किए थे जस्ट रिसेंटली 8 जुलाई 2016 को। यहाँ पे पूरा महात्मा गांधी जी का भी देख सकते हो। यहाँ पे इनॉग्रेटेड बाय श्री नरेंद्र मोदी, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया। यहाँ पे उनका पूरा मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी जी का पूरा दिखाया हुआ है। यहाँ पे कौन से ईयर में कैसे क्या क्या चीजें उनके साथ वो किए और क्या क्या हुआ, उनका पूरा हिस्ट्री यहाँ पे है।
morning everyone and welcome to a heritage site. My name is Pius and I will be your guide for the duration of the tour, which is more or less up to an hour. And yes everyone, you are allowed to take pictures inside the museum, even inside the court at all times. Please don't be afraid. So our starting point will be onto the north side. This way. Right. So, thank you. Alright, so two more. My name is Pius, by the way, the ones who just come in, and welcome to a heritage site. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you into the first maximum prison in Johannesburg. Yes, everyone, the first prison which was established later when gold was discovered. That's why this region or this province is regarded as Gauteng, meaning the place of gold in Sotho. But in 1886, when gold was discovered, we had two governments which were colonizing South Africa at the time. So the Cape Colony, which was colonized mainly by the British, then the inland or the northern part of South Africa, which was regarded as the Witwatersrand. Yes, that's where now today we have the biggest university, the University of the Witwatersrand. In short, Wits University got its name from. Yes, we were governed by the Zuid-Afrikaner Republic. So this is where today, with any exchange rate, you still find this acronym onto the South African side, the ZAR, the Zuid-Afrikaner Republic. So we refer to them as the Afrikaners, Dutch or Boers today, meaning farmers in the Dutch language or Afrikaans. And yes everyone, our Prime Minister or President was President Paul Kruger. So today is actually called after the national park or these valuable coins which are called the Krugerrands. He actually came up with the good strategic point, building a jail/fort at the highest peak of Johannesburg. This was the point, and currently it still is. Why by then, Johannesburg was not a beautiful urban city that we currently see. It was just a mining town, a desert by that time. So the fort was actually built to bring rule and law into the center of Johannesburg at the time. Yes again everyone, protecting the gold mine fields which are not very far in the southwest of Johannesburg, and which were large deposits of gold. And again everyone, to regulate people coming into the region of the Witwatersrand, and then the gold going out for trading. Now because the British and the Afrikaners didn't see eye to eye. Morning everyone. Now the British were regarded as a plumbers, meaning outlanders or foreigners in Afrikaans. Morning everyone. That's when, ladies and gentlemen, the initial fort onto the south side was established. Yes, the fort was established between 1892 until 1893. So back then, only housing only white male prisoners at the time. Then a few years later, after the big invasion called the Jameson Raid, when the British wanted to invade Johannesburg, they occupied Johannesburg in 1899 until 1902. That's when the peace treaty was signed. Yes, we celebrate that day as December the 16th, Day of Reconciliation. The reconciliation between the British and the Dutch. And that's when the British retracted in 1902. And that's when section number 4 was established at that time. So, number 4 was established in 1902. The finished form that we see was completed in 1927, so meaning it took about 25 years. So this section was for the non-whites. It meant Africans, Indians, Chinese, and even coloreds from the mixed races were classified as non-whites, and this was a male section. Then the last section which was established was the female section, the women's jail. Now outside the fort onto the west wing of the prison, established in 1909 until 1910. By then, ladies and gentlemen, the only section which was multiracial. But when it came to food and also sleeping quarters, that's where these ladies were separated or segregated at the time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the prison nearly operated for a century. Now, this established in 1893, closing down, stopping to exist in 1983, the last day of January of the year, more or less about 100 years. Yes, I'd say by closing down, more or less about 41 years ago, when the prison stopped to exist, ladies and gentlemen. Now, any question from your side? For the national visitors and also international visitors, I come from the Xhosa tribe and also the Sotho tribe, so we tend to speak very fast. So when I'm fast, please slow me down. Okay, so I can go back to your pace. Yes, ma'am.
What was the reason for the closure?
The closure, diseases, famine, which was happening inside here. Yes. Now, when this was closed down in 1983, going into the late 70s, going into the late 80s, I come from Deep Roof, which is the first location when you go into Soweto. So when the prison was called, it was called Deep Roof Prison. But when the last prisoner left here, onto the side, on the 31st, going onto that prison called Deep Roof Prison, he changed the name of the prison and called it Sun City Prison after the resort that we have. Why was that? It was because the privileges there were much better than here, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why it was more. And also, again, integration of prisons was starting to come around, not the segregation which they left here onto the Orford Prison. Now from this point, we'll be moving to our side. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is how food would be administered and given to the prisoners back then. So the plates would be lined up right here, then the pots would be put right here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I know today as fathers, because I am a father for myself, we do help our clean cooking. Yes, I'd say my cooking is just boiling an egg, or I'd say yes, even God just saved us doing boiling noodles. But in African custom is that men don't cook, men don't clean. This is where when you're a male and you're in prison chair, the men would be doing the cooking inside the prison and then distributing the food in different points. Yes, there was a huge, massive kitchen which was called the mass hall. That's where all these men would be taken and the cooking would be done into that side. Then that's when the pots would be carried or wheelbarrowed to all different points. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you'd actually receive your meals. Then on to the next one, we have the Christmas treats. These were the portions. Now, white prisoners had to choose between pudding, cake, and then the non-white prisoners had to choose between coffee and tea on Christmas. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that would be your Christmas treats. Then going back onto the D diet, I actually want to focus on the word which is above the jam and salt, which is called Uzamandla. Now that is actually derived from Zulu, yes, which is also one of the native languages that we speak. Now I speak 8 comes 9, 10 with English and Afrikaans. Now when you divide that word, Tuza literally means to drink. Mandla means power, energy or strength. So you combine it into one word, it means drinking power, energy or strength. Yes, it was an energy supplement. Now the ingredient or vegetable, where this is taken from, we call it mealies or maize. You may call it corn, comes in a brown powder form. Yes, pour the substance, you mix it with water, stir it for a few seconds, and then drink it immediately. It was mainly given to African prisoners. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Farmers, contractors around Johannesburg would be coming to this prison looking for cheap labor. So that's why they were given this, so they could be fit, be strong, be able to work in the fields, and also around Johannesburg. Now from this point, ladies and gentlemen, please do have a read. Then after this, we'll be moving and looking. Now, Section 4 was meant to take up to 979 prisoners, but ended up taking up to 2,000, yes, even up to 3,000 prisoners at a time. So meaning twice to even 3 times the amount it was meant to take. Now, from this point, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be looking into the cells, which were holding some of these prisoners inside here. So from this point, it's how the sleeping arrangement would be. We call this, ladies and gentlemen, life in the cell. Now, in life in the cell, we actually portray and show you the lifestyle. So some of you, let's come up a bit closer, ladies and gentlemen, so others can come in. Now, this whole section of the cell was meant to take up to 30 prisoners at a time. But, ladies and gentlemen, ended up taking up to 60, even up to 120 of these prisoners. Now, meaning at normal day, 118 or 58 of these prisoners. Then, ladies and gentlemen, 60 or 90 with those 2 gentlemen onto that side. Those were the gang leaders or the cell bosses. So whatever, when the guards would close the door at night, those would be the enforcers. Yes, there was a barrier segregating the rest of the prisoners from them, made out of blankets. And that section was called Ematafuli. Direct translation. Yes, direct translation from Zulu into English. By the tables. Again, by the tables. That was a section for the gang leaders. You were only allowed onto that side, called and summoned by these men. Then onto this side, ladies and gentlemen, you'd find these men given code names. Why? So that they could communicate amongst themselves without the guards hearing them out. Then you'd find these 3 gentlemen behind us here, called the suckerbouts, meaning the bodyguards or the lieutenant to the gang leaders. members. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, they protected the gang leaders whenever they wanted food, cigarettes, extra blankets. They would take it from these guys. Why? To alleviate themselves from the ground in summer. And yes, in wintertime, to keep themselves warm. They would take it from these guys called the sardines. Why? They sleeping here to throw like sardines. So these were the prisoners who were imprisoned here for political reasons, opposing the government. Yes, but imprisoned here with murderers, robbers at the time. Yes, in section number 4, ladies and gentlemen, political prisoners and common criminals were kept together. But onto the fort, they were segregated. Why they were segregated onto the fort side? So that political prisoners couldn't influence common criminals to change their status. So meaning they never at the same time and they never worked at the same time. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we find the new arrivals, given the title the Bushies, meaning the newcomers. They slept right next to the toilet and were in charge of cleaning the cell and also giving privacy to the gang leaders. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that arrangement was arranged among section 4 and 5, not amongst the whole prison system. So it's only in 1983 when other prisons started emerging, then other gangs started being established. Yes, the oldest living gang in South Africa are called the 28s, which were established in 1899. Now from this point on, I'll give you another 3 to 4 minutes, just for also has been transformed into another exhibition, ladies and gentlemen. Here we're just asking the simple question: who do you think, by reading and looking at their testaments, was meant to be here? Yes, we have the likes of the young Mangaliso Robert Sobukwe, defected from the ANC, starting his own conscious movement. Now imprisoned twice in 1956 and again 4 years down the line in 1960. So that's why on the 21st of March we celebrate that day as Human Rights Day. That's where they merged and also in the south of Johannesburg started burning those passes. Why? Wanting to move freely and also wanting to work in Johannesburg, because black people at that time had curfews and it was difficult living here. Then we have the likes of the young Gandhi, who was here between 1908 and 1913. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is where Gandhi started his political career and also his first imprisonment. He was imprisoned here between 1908 and 1913 for that 5 years in and out and number 4. But when you calculate, it's more or less about 7 months and that whole 5 years that he spent inside this prison, coming in and out. Then we have Jack Mabaso, who was here for handbag snatching, robbery and also murder, and also killed somebody for just 8 tin of polish. Ladies and gentlemen, these would be the laws that would actually bring you inside here. The laws are dating as late as 1856. It says, coming closer, Master, and it says Servants Act. It says, allowed for the arrest of a worker who broke a contract, was insolent, drunk, negligent, or caused disturbance on his employer's property. Past offenders were forced to work on farms, and prison labor was hired out to farmers. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's why the energy drink, the Phuza Mandla, was given so much to Africans. Why? So that they can go out to work. And yes, after serving your sentence and also leaving the prison, you were let at the door and then you left on your own. You were never given any remuneration for the work that you did, meaning the money came into the working of the prison during that time.